Alright, today's edition of My Old House, we're going to replace the toilet guts with a new, eco-friendly duo flush system. Goes either a half or full flush. Now, the first step in this process is to shut off the water to the toilet and to drain the tank. Now, the water shutoff is located underneath the tank. Just turn clockwise until it's tight, then flush the toilet and test the system. Some of the newer ones are only a quarter turn or half turn. So if yours is free and only turns about a quarter of a turn and then stops, don't force it. You can always test the system by flushing it to see if it actually refills. If it doesn't, then the water is off and you're safe to proceed. Now, some of these old ones can get a little sticky. If you cannot turn it by hand, call a professional and have them come over. They will have to turn off the water at the street or outside of your house in order to replace or repair that. Alright, now the next step, verify that the tank is empty. There's still a little bit of water in there. We're just going to hold this open until it all goes down. And it looks like there's still just a little bit left. There's a little lip at the bottom down there. So, it's not filling back up. At this point, it's safe to begin to remove the guts of the toilet and then replace with the new system. Alright, now the next thing I did was to remove this unit here. This is what attaches to the water fill line from underneath the tank. Now it's just got a couple nuts that attach down to the bottom piece here. This was in that hole there. This is the new unit here, and it has the same threaded piece. So now all we have to do is put this in the place of the old unit. Take our water fill line here. This has a little gasket. Now what it does is you just shove it up under there and then tighten down the washers, or the nuts, sorry. Okay, so at this point I realized I still have to take this unit off. The kit comes with a new one and it's held in place with these little metal tines that sit down in and lock in place. Now I can't figure out how to get that old one off, so I'm just going to take the whole tank off. Now the tank is actually just held down by 3 little bolts right there. They go through and then are held by a small little nut, a washer, and then there's a rubber washer underneath to keep it from leaking. Now they're not very tight, but they can be old. All I needed was a flathead screwdriver and a pair of pliers. Once I got about 1 or 2 turns of that nut loose, then I could feed it all out by hand. Now those nuts and bolts go through down under here. Before you go reaching your hands down in there, you may want to check for spiders. But now once I have, I can just gently rock this back and forth and then pull it off. Now there's going to be a little bit of water spilling, so you may want to put some towels down there. I have a tile floor, so I don't really care. I can just come back and mop it up later. As long as I get it done before my wife gets home, she'll never know the difference. Alright, so now I have the tank off. And what was holding on, that was this little nut. Now unless you have a special tool to reach down in between these two and unthread that, you'd never be able to get this unit out without taking the tank off. Now, that was threaded tight, and this is a foam gasket that just sat down on top of that. Now that's what actually seals the water from leaking out when you flush to the base of the toilet. If you're worried about the condition of this and reusing it, this one looks pretty old, but it looks like it's in fairly good shape. You can see that there's a lot of surface area in there, and it is tapered, so it's not going to have just one spot. But if you're worried about it, just go to the hardware store, pick another one up. They sell them all day long. They're only like $5 or $10. It's not worth the hassle if you're questioning whether or not it's going to work. But what you can do is you can just flush it a few times after you reinstall everything to see if it's leaked. You'll just find water leaking down the back of it or around the sides. Now, with this unit out, as you can see, I just got a bucket where I started throwing all the old parts. With that unit out, I can now install the new unit. Now the new unit actually has some sort of gooey seal in there to help seal along that as well. So I don't think that I'm going to need this gasket anymore, as long as I feel I can get a good enough seal with this gasket. These are the rubber washers on the bottom side. Down here, don't lose those. Those are what's actually going to keep the metal washers and nuts from cracking and destroying your porcelain. Alright, now time to install the new unit and see how it fits on the lower stool. Okay, so I only do one take in these videos, so I had to put everything back together. Put the drain valve back on with the plastic nut, tighten it down securely, then put that foam washer back on, reinstall the tank. This is the new unit, and it actually, for many models, just snaps down right on top of that, and you won't even need this unit here. That's what I get for not reading instructions. So now I've got the new unit snapped into place. I am going to install the water fill valve there in the hole. Now it comes with lots of new hardware. You can reuse the old hardware. I'm just going to use the hardware that's already on the water fill line. Everything was in good shape, so I don't have any issues with leaking. Okay, as I sat the new unit into place, I realized that it did not already have the rubber washer pre-installed. So you'll have to go into the hardware and put it on if yours does not already have one installed. That is what's going to seal it from water dripping out when you put it all together. So I've got the new fill valve in. Now this rubber hose is going to come over into your overflow valve. Now the unit I purchased comes with this little blue deal with this little wheel on there. Now that is to actually slow down or limit how fast your tank refills. You simply depress this ball and slide it all the way up to where you would like. I don't know about you, but I'd like mine on full bore. At the end of that little rubber hose, you're going to find this in with the new hardware. Simply plug it in here, clip it on the overflow, so that the valve here sprays into the overflow. Okay, now go into your hardware kit, find the handle. Now this obviously just goes right in that hole. Now slide it in. There is a correct way and a wrong way to put it on. If yours fits in the hole but is stuck in this up position, then just simply pull it out, rotate it 90 degrees, and then go again. If yours is stuck down here, pull it out, rotate it 90 degrees, find out where it likes to be. Now the kit that I bought comes with this little rubber grommet. That fits over the square piece right there. Now this grommet is only used if the tank here has a larger hole. You don't want this to fit sloppy and be all loose. Now this plastic nut goes on the back side here. Simply put it in, tighten up that plastic nut on the back side. Now remember, with a lot of this stuff, you're working with plastic and rubber. Don't over tighten. Only hand tighten. If you need to get a tool to help you do the job, then something could be wrong. Be very cautious. Alright, now that we have the handle on, it's time to attach the flapper valve, the new one. It comes with this. Now it just easily plugs on. Just depress this little spring unit. It will find its way in, and then it will lock into place and be secure. Don't force it, it's plastic, and there is a right and wrong way to put it on. Now because it's got this long wire, you cannot trim it. That is what actually operates the flush valve. So there may need to be some sort of orientation fitting. You'd have it down, obviously you can't have it up. I'm going to try mine off to the side, so that way when I put the lid back on, it won't be smashing into anything. So now, after you've connected the flush handle, everything else is back secured, go ahead and turn on the water fill line, and it will fill, and then you'll have to make an adjustment from there. This unit came set to the minimum water tank level. Now for the half flush or full flush, these are your two adjusters. Now you'll have to half flush and then set your adjustment of how much water you want to use, and then full flush, how much water you want to use as well. Now my piece came with these little foam pieces underneath these. And as you see, you have to push them down in order to make your adjustment. But before you turn on the water, remove these so that the stopper can fall down into place and keep the water from running straight into the stool. Now, to make the adjustment on how full the tank goes, simply